Y'all, what just surfaced online is not regular celebrity chatter. This is the kind of allegation that makes people sit up, speak quietly, and ask how far manipulation can really go before someone's life is irreversibly changed. Right now, social media is in complete chaos because Tasha K has put something on the table about Claressa Shields and Papoose that completely shifts how this entire situation looks. According to what's being alleged, this isn't just about love, chemistry, or two people sharing attention. This is about planning, timing, and a move that could tie Papoose into a future he may not fully understand until it's too late. Tasha K claims Claressa Shields, while standing at the top of her boxing career, may be executing a carefully planned, personal move designed to permanently connect Papoose to her life emotionally, legally, and biologically. And that's where the real shock begins. Because if these allegations are even partially true, this isn't romance unfolding naturally. This is influence masked as desire. Sources say Claressa's public relationship with Papoose didn't just escalate, it moved at high speed. Trips, appearances, public support, constant visibility, every move happening quicker than the last. While one critical detail remains unresolved, Papoose is still legally married to Remy Ma. That alone has people questioning motives. Online reactions are harsh. Some fans say Claressa is simply in love and confident. Others believe she's playing a long-term game, not checkers. And then there are those who see this as a familiar scenario where emotion is used to rush decisions and permanence is introduced before clarity can keep pace. What makes this even darker is the timing, career momentum, relationship escalation, talk of future plans, talk of what's next, allegedly all lining up in a way that feels far too convenient to ignore. Because once a child enters the picture, nothing stays casual. Careers pause, power balances shift, exit doors disappear, and the question burning through the internet right now is simple. Is Claressa Shields acting out of love, or is Papoose walking straight into something he won't be able to reverse? Stay right here because what comes next changes the narrative. What's making this situation blow up isn't just what's being alleged. It's how carefully the timing seems to align. Because when relationships speed up at the exact moment careers reach a high point, people start asking questions that don't fade easily. According to what Tasha K has now brought forward, the growing public relationship between Claressa Shields and Papoose may not be as organic as it looks. The claim isn't that love doesn't exist. It's that purpose may be driving the pace far more than emotion. Sources say Claressa Shields is standing at a rare crossroads in her career. Momentum, visibility, leverage. Every fight matters. Every decision counts. And yet, at this pivotal stage, attention appears to be shifting toward personal permanence rather than professional expansion. That contrast alone has sparked curiosity. Insiders allege this isn't about slowing down. It's about securing outcomes, about making choices that permanently link futures together before unresolved realities have time to emerge. Because once permanence enters the picture, power dynamics shift immediately. Publicly, Claressa and Papoose look aligned. Events together, trips together, appearances that feel deliberate, not accidental, social media clips that suggest comfort, confidence, and assurance. But observers point out how quickly that narrative took shape and how little room there was for anything else. According to people close to the situation, the relationship didn't just grow, it intensified rapidly. And speed matters, especially when one side is still legally entangled elsewhere. That's where Remy Ma's name returns to the conversation, not loudly but meaningfully, because the marriage isn't officially closed. Papers haven't been signed. Legal ties still exist, and that unresolved reality sits beneath every public display, which leads many to ask, why push forward with urgency now? Online reaction has been deeply divided. Some fans see Claressa Shields as confident and intentional, a woman who knows what she wants and isn't backing down. Others believe Papoose is being drawn into a situation moving faster than his reality can handle. And then there's a third group, the ones paying attention to patterns. Patterns like timing between fights. Patterns like talk of future pauses. Patterns like increasing emotional visibility paired with shrinking clarity. That's where speculation about long-term planning began to surface. According to Tasha K., the alleged plan isn't reckless, it's deliberate. The idea being circulated is that Claressa may be balancing ambition with personal decisions that could permanently anchor Papoose into her life emotionally and legally before any chance of undoing it exists. Not tomorrow, not loudly, but step by step. That moment changed the tone immediately. Because once legal pressure and confirmations enter the conversation, everything becomes heavier, more serious, and less speculative. Observers say this is when silence stopped being neutral and started feeling calculated. If things were truly simple, clarity would ease the tension. But instead, narratives closed in, questions multiplied, and public perception became harder to shape. Meanwhile, Claressa Shields continued to appear calm, confident, and forward-driven, publicly supportive of Papoose, comfortable in the spotlight, seemingly unaffected by the chaos surrounding the unresolved past. That contrast didn't go unnoticed because confidence in moments like this can be read two ways: security or certainty built on control. Insiders suggest the emotional balance may be shifting, that Claressa appears fully invested in outcomes while Papoose is navigating a far more complex reality, one that includes loyalty, history, and unresolved ties. And in situations like that, momentum often benefits the person applying it, which brings the conversation back to permanence. Rumors circulating online suggest that future planning may already be taking shape, aligned carefully with career scheduling, that after a certain number of fights, priorities could shift, that a pause might not just be about rest, but about transitioning. If true, it would mean the current pace isn't accidental. It's deliberate. And once intention is acknowledged, coincidence no longer exists. Social media speculation grew louder after that realization. Supporters doubled down. Critics became louder. And Remy Ma's silence only intensified more questions. Because silence, when everything else is loud, becomes its own signal. As this part begins to close, the story stops feeling like a relationship unfolding and starts feeling like a strategy in motion. That line reshaped the entire narrative because it wasn't just about Claressa Shields, Papoose, or Remy Ma anymore. It was about performance versus truth, optics versus intent, and how easily public narratives can conceal private agendas. As this part ends, one question lingers heavily. If permanence is being introduced before resolution, is this love moving forward or leverage tightening its grip? And the most dangerous part, the answer may not reveal itself until it's too late to reverse. By the time the story reached its Hawaii chapter, the tone had already shifted. What once felt like momentum now felt like pressure. What once looked celebratory began to feel definitive. And for many watching closely, the trip itself wasn't about rest or romance. It was about validation. Confirmation before resolution. Because according to insiders, this wasn't just another vacation. It was a message, a public signal that the relationship between Claressa Shields and Papoose had crossed into something lasting, even though the legal reality underneath it had not. That disconnect unsettled people. When public displays move faster than private closure, someone is always forced to adapt, and observers say the adjustment here isn't being shared evenly. Social media fractured instantly. Some fans celebrated the boldness, framing Hawaii as proof of commitment. Others paused at the timing, asking why such a visible escalation was necessary, while one critical chapter remained open. That chapter is Remy Ma. Because despite the optics, the marriage is not legally closed. Papers are not signed, and unresolved ties still exist, quietly but firmly. For many, that single fact reframed everything.
He's still married. And so we just want to tell Claressa this.
That reminder hit like a cold pause, not because it introduced new information, but because it reframed the entire Hawaii moment. Suddenly, the trip wasn't just romantic. It was high risk, not just affectionate, but consequential. Because when someone is still legally bound elsewhere, every new commitment creates tension. Emotional promises start to collide with legal obligations. And the faster the public narrative moves, the harder it becomes to slow the pace, without fallout. Observers noted how quickly that reality was pushed aside online. How the focus returned to smiles, beaches, and captions while the unresolved foundation went unaddressed. But foundations matter, and that's where the conversation shifted from romance to leverage. According to people close to the situation, there's a growing imbalance that can't be ignored. One side operating from peak momentum, financial strength, and independence. The other navigating a public reemergence while still tethered to a past that refuses to fade quietly. That imbalance raises the stakes. It affects who can walk away, who benefits from permanence, and who bears the cost if things collapse. As this dynamic became clearer, another allegation gained momentum, one that intensified scrutiny even further: the money. Because finances have a way of revealing intention long before emotions do. Insiders claim the gap here isn't small. Claressa Shields is earning at a level that creates choice, freedom, mobility, independence. Papoose, by contrast, is rebuilding presence and momentum in a space where leverage looks very different. That gap matters because when one person holds more leverage, decisions stop being mutual. They become direction-setting. And that's when the next claim surfaced.
Repoed your ex-fiance's car, because she had a fiance right there in the glasses right here, to give it to Papoose. I said, what type of shit is this? How Papoose gonna accept the ex-fiance car? Like, yeah, this nice right here. This nice right here. He got some ashes on the seat and everything. But thank you, baby.
That allegation didn't just add drama, it introduced instability, because suddenly Hawaii wasn't a private moment. It became a collision point. Multiple narratives overlapping in the same place, at the same time, under the same spotlight. If true, it suggests timelines intersecting where exclusivity was assumed. If false, it raises a different concern: why so many people found the claim believable. Either way, trust took a hit. And once trust fractures publicly, recovery becomes extremely difficult. Observers began revisiting earlier moments with a different perspective. The speed of escalation, the emphasis on visibility, the way commitment was being performed rather than discussed. Because when performance outpaces reality, someone is being carried by momentum rather than choice. That realization pushed the alleged binding theory into the foreground. The idea circulating online isn't that affection is fake. It's that permanence may be the objective. That emotional closeness is being reinforced with structural consequences. That the future is being shaped now in ways that limit exits later, not through force, but through acceleration. And acceleration is powerful when one side isn't ready to stop. This is where the emotional temperature rose. Supporters framed the situation as love evolving naturally. Critics warned of manipulation, and a growing group simply watched, noticing how quickly pressure replaced patience. Because patience would require clarity, and clarity has been noticeably absent. According to insiders, conversations behind the scenes have shifted. What once felt optional now feels expected. What once was discussed now feels assumed. And assumptions, when made publicly, are difficult to undo without embarrassment. That's the trap people keep referencing. Not a single moment, but a sequence where public validation locks private decisions in place. As this part closes, the narrative reaches a dangerous balance point. The public image is ahead of the legal reality. The emotional commitments are ahead of logistical closure, and the pace is faster than the situation can safely absorb. which leaves one unresolved question hanging in the air. If permanence is being pushed before resolution, who benefits when reality finally catches up, and who pays the price? By the time the story reached its final phase, the tone had shifted from speculation to strain. What once looked like momentum now carried weight. What once felt confident now appeared urgent. And for those watching closely, the balance inside the relationship between Claressa Shields and Papoose no longer felt equal. It felt tilted. Observers say this is the moment when acceleration starts revealing its cost. Because when permanence is introduced under pressure, it doesn't strengthen bonds, it tests them. Publicly, everything still looked composed. Appearances continued. Support remained visible. The narrative of unity held steady. But online, the conversation had changed. Viewers weren't asking what's next anymore. They were asking who's being cornered. That shift matters because cornered people don't make free choices. They make necessary ones. According to insiders, the emotional dynamic hardened around expectations. What began as mutual enthusiasm began to feel like obligation. Conversations that once felt optional started carrying consequences. And that's when caution appeared, subtle, but visible to anyone paying attention. The caution wasn't loud. It didn't show up as conflict. It showed up as restraint, which only fueled speculation. Because when one side appears increasingly certain about the future while the other becomes guarded, it suggests the future is being decided without full consensus. That's when the word control entered the conversation. Not shouted, not proven, but implied through patterns. Patterns like how quickly commitment was being framed publicly. Patterns like how often permanence was emphasized over clarity. Patterns like how unresolved history was minimized instead of addressed. And then came the interpretation that split audiences down the middle.
I just feel sorry for Claressa because she is really like thirsty over Papoose. Like she won a prize. And Remy already told you he thinks he's the prize. And I'm just like, this is not giving winner behavior. This is giving desperate. This is giving, I've never had a famous guy like me before.
That assessment didn't land as a fact. It landed as a framework, a way of interpreting behavior that reframed confidence as urgency and urgency as a fear of loss. Supporters rejected it immediately. Critics said it explained everything. And a large portion of viewers didn't choose a side. Instead, they began re-examining earlier moments, looking for signs they might have missed. Because if urgency is driving decisions, it changes how every action is understood. Trips stop being romantic. Public posts stop being celebratory. Generosity stops being generous. They become evidence. Proof of commitment. Proof of loyalty. Proof of permanence. And proof is only demanded when reassurance is no longer enough. According to people close to the situation, this is where pressure quietly intensified. Expectations were no longer implied. They were assumed. And assumptions, when made publicly, remove room for hesitation. That's dangerous because hesitation is where consent exists. Without it, momentum takes over. As the pressure built, scrutiny deepened. Every detail mattered. Every overlap was questioned. Every inconsistency magnified. And then one detail surfaced that jolted the narrative entirely. A detail that didn't just raise eyebrows, it sparked backlash.